MT9 LT5 on trigonometry. Do the first 5 questions, then come back and go over the rest of the lesson. What we want to do today is look at solve problems involving trig ratios for acute angles. These are ratios. There's nothing different than what we did in the unit with similarity where we set up a proportions. That's all it is. We're going to solve problems using our inverse trig ratios for acute angles. Notice I said acute angles. This does not work for angles that are not acute. First thing, we have 3 trig ratios you need to memorize. There is no getting around it. No, you may not write this down on a formula sheet. You must memorize this. The first one is the sine of an angle. Yes, it's pronounced sine. It's S-I-N-E, but we abbreviate S-I-N. Is the opposite side over the adjacent side. So if I look here, in this triangle, opposite of angle A is side A, and the hypotenuse is C, so we get A over C. If I look at angle B, it's B over C. The next one is the cosine of an angle. The cosine is the adjacent over the hypotenuse, as in B over C. Notice the cosine of A is the same as the sine of B. And the cosine of B is the same as the sine of A. Why is that? Because cosine is an abbreviation. It means the complement sign. We don't even have to use cosine, but we are to save us some time and effort. But it just means the complement sign. The tangent is the opposite over the adjacent. Now, you need to memorize these, like I said, and no, you may not use a formula sheet on your test for this unit. You have got to know the rules. So how do you get these memorized? Well, if we just think of the first letters of each, the sine of an angle is the opposite over the hypotenuse. The cosine of an angle is the adjacent over the hypotenuse. The tangent of an angle is the opposite over the adjacent. The problem is with SOHCAHTOA, some people can't even spell, so they misspell it, then they got the wrong rules. So we come up with another device to help us remember. Sun on head causes a headache, take 1 aspirin. So that's a mnemonic device for a mnemonic device. And then, because it's kind of an important rule, yes, we have a song that will help us out. And this goes to Handel's Alleluia Chorus. Remember, I have no pitch or rhythm, but I'll do my best here. Remember, it goes, Alleluia, Alleluia. So it goes, SOHCAHTOA, SOHCAHTOA, learn it and use it. SOHCAHTOA, sine is opposite over hypotenuse. SOHCAHTOA, SOHCAHTOA, learn it and use it. Cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse. SOHCAHTOA, SOHCAHTOA, learn it and use it. Tangent is opposite over adjacent. SOHCAHTOA, SOHCAHTOA, finish it up. SOHCAHTOA. Now, let's apply that to a couple problems here. First, we're just going to write our ratios. So I want to look at the sine of angle J. So the sine of angle J, I want to write it as a fraction and as a decimal rounded to the nearest hundredth. Sine is opposite over hypotenuse. But we're looking at J. So when I look at J, I got to figure out, hey, what's the opposite of J? Well, that's 5. And my hypotenuse is always 13. So that's 5 divided by 13. If I take 5 divided by 13 as a decimal, I get 0.38. Next, let's do the cosine of angle J. Cosine is adjacent, so next to, over the hypotenuse. So that would be 12 over 13. 12 divided by 13 is 0.92. Notice, on sine and cosine, we're always divided by the hypotenuse. I'm always going to get a decimal number that's less than 1. Now let's take a look at the tangent of angle J. Tangent is opposite over adjacent. So the opposite of J is 5. The adjacent is 12. So it's 5 over 12. And 5 divided by 12 is 0.42. Those are all the ones for J. Now, I'm not going to do them all here. I'm going to skip the sine of angle K. And when you do the cosine of angle K, I want you to notice something. Cosine of angle K is adjacent. So next to angle K is 5 over the hypotenuse, which is 13. Notice we've done 5 over 13 before. That's 0.38. The cosine of K and the sine of J are always going to be the same. Always. And then finally, I want to look at the relationship here. Let's do the tangent of K. So tangent is opposite 12 over adjacent 5. So it's 12 over 5. 12 divided by 5 is 2.4. The tangent can be a number bigger than 1. And as we start using our calculators and everything else, we will show you how we can actually calculate those ratios and those angles out. Now, we'll do the next one on the next video because I already did 3 pages of your seminar here.